Greetings, Earthlings. Cosmos the Alien here. Today, thought I'd bring you something a little bit different. You've seen the title. Today, we're going to be reacting to something. So, we've got a bit of a different setup. Background from video that has either already been released or I am working on. Depends on how the release schedule turns out. So, a bit of background. Apparently, this is the studio that is releasing an upcoming VeggieTales Larry Boy film, and I thought I would give it a look and give my general thoughts on it before, and then break it down and talk about sort of, the good, the bad, and break down exactly why so many fans are disappointed in it. So let's bring that up, shall we? Okay, so Kingstone Studios is the company that's apparently animating this film. From what I understand, neither Phil Vischer or Mike Naraki, the creators of VeggieTales, are involved. The Nutcracker Swede, so this means they're doing this test was for a Christmas episode, and I know that the VeggieTales show, I didn't see a whole lot of that. I know it also began with a Christmas episode, and I think it's because the Christmas episodes have always done well financially, and Christmas is, even though nowadays it's very secularized, it is, it's a Christian holiday. So it's a pretty safe bet, if you're thinking, oh, what's something I can do that's Christian? Oh, I'll do a Christmas episode. I'll do a Christmas special. I know the VeggieTales show did have, it did have Vischer and Naraki, and it was more biblical than VeggieTales show or the later episodes of the direct-to-DVD era, but still, it was this still does sound, from what I can tell, to be more secularized, because Nutcracker and then Swede, like sweet. So it sounds like I don't know much about the original, but from what I understand, it is all about toys. So already, I am not getting some good feelings. This is from May of what is last year at the time of recording.
Hey.
Already, let us in. I love that.
Hey kids, we have some big news.
So, first impressions, I know I'm pausing already a bunch, but Bob's voice sounds weird, but at the same time, I have seen a lot of memes and that use AI to replicate Vischer and Naraki's voices as Bob and Larry, and for whatever reason, they have a harder time with Bob's voice than they do with Larry's. I don't know what it is. I think it's because when you listen to Phil Vischer's voice, Bob's voice is a lot closer to his natural voice than Larry's is. So maybe it's because there's a degree of artificiality there. This sounds decent. Looking at it, it looks like they nailed the character designs. Larry's nose is a bit too big for my liking. The background looks very generic AI, and the shading. There's something about AI shading that always looks off. I don't know what it is. I think it's the fact that it never feels like it's from any one light source, and it doesn't feel consistent. Like, there's really harsh shadows over here on Larry, but Bob's standing right next to him, and he doesn't really have any harsh shadows. If anything, with Bob, it feels like the light source is placed behind him, but with Larry, it seems like it's, directly behind him. Larry, it seems like it's behind to the right. You would think, oh, it's the chandelier that's the light source, but Bob's not standing directly in front of the chandelier. If anything, harsh shadows should be right here. I am hoping my mouse cursor is coming through. So the harsh shadows should be on the right side of him, while the harsh shadows on Larry, you know, if they were to be more realistic. This Bob does kind of remind me of the In the House version in terms of how he is shaded, though. Whereas this Larry does remind me a little more of the 90s era, in terms like late 90s, in terms of how he's shaded. So that's kind of interesting. The background feels very generic, though. I'm not too fond of that. Same with the opening shot. This feels very generic.
Kids, we have some big news.
Can I tell them, Bob? Please, please.
Okay, they did not. Yeah, so they did not get Larry's voice right, which is weird because I have heard, really both really good impressions of Naraki's voice by professional and amateur actors, even just fans, and then you know AI voices trained on Naraki's voice, and I presume this is AI because it sounds very artificial. That gets it right, and this does not sound like him at all. From what I understand, they originally had Mike Naraki voicing Larry, at least for the Larry Boy movie, but this doesn't sound like him. But at the same time, if this is a test, then who knows? I mean, if this was the studio that was doing the movie, I don't know why they'd be testing individual episode. Like, this looks like a trailer for an episode, if anything. But who knows?
Go ahead, Larry.
We're in a brand new.
Okay, this looks like a very generic AI facial expression you often see with AI. The eyes on Bob are too separated for VeggieTales. But the way it's shaded, the way it's drawn, this is generic pre-rendered AI screenshot look. Like, you see a lot of this on the internet everywhere. And immediately, even compared to the last shot, Bob and Larry look completely different. AI is not good with consistency across shots, and this is one of the problems. And also, you look at the lips, the mouths, the way they move.
Can I tell them, Bob? Please, please.
Also, the way the camera shakes feels very amateurish. The fact that there are these weird lines, the eyes don't feel animated properly,
Please.
Go ahead, Larry.
Bob's mouth feels very weird.
We're in a brand new Christmas special called The Nutcracker Swede. I play a Swedish nutcracker with fancy shorts.
Larry? We're supposed to tell them about the story.
Oh,
You know what? The more I listen to it, the more Bob's voice does actually sound a lot better than I initially thought. It sounds decent.
well, there's a giant pillow fight with the Mouse King and candy everywhere.
That's not the important part, Larry. It's a beautiful Christmas story about friendship and
And I wear funny shorts.
Coming soon to Vermont.
Okay, so I kind of want to go back here because yes, you look.
New Cracker Swede.
They're using the modern logo. We get like, where is it? We get
Brand new Christmas.
you get a 5-second shot of Madame Blueberry, who, again, the eyes they don't really get right because the eyes are supposed to be on VeggieTales characters. They're supposed to be a bit raised and they're connected. They didn't get the eyes really right, but the shading is decently correct, and it looks like they got the hair. But the background is very muddy. But this is like a 1-second cutaway shot, so it's not something that I think they expected people would pause on. I think it's just like, oh, hey, Madame Blueberry's here. But it looks off. Like, it looks weird. And the nose feels like oddly droopy, like it's drooping from this line down, which is, again, not how VeggieTales characters work, but they get the cohesive, like, holistically, it looks like they got the look right.
Special called The Nutcracker Swede.
Wait a
I
minute.
play a
Wait a minute.
Larry.
We're in a brand new Christmas special.
Yeah, I don't think she blinks the entire way. I gotta keep going, otherwise I'll be here all day.
Called the Nutcracker Swede. I play a
Okay, yeah, see, they got the line, they got the eyes right here. But even in the first shot, yeah, in the first shot, Larry's eyes are right and Bob's eyes are right. But then in the second shot, Larry's eyes are right, but Bob's aren't. And then, but here,
Swede.
like that's Larry right there. Like that, they got the eyes right. They got the nose is still too big though, and it feels like they lack here. It feels like there's too much of a plastic texture. Whereas usually there's a bit of a cucumber texture that they usually have. Like, if you read Me, Myself, and Bob, there is a deliberate. Unlike Bob, Larry does have a bit of texturing that is always put on him. There's a weird split down here too. Again, generic background. The backgrounds are really nothing to write home about, and they feel very bland, and they feel like this is AI. This is AI. This isn't. It kind of bugs me that this isn't entirely symmetrical. Like you can see the pattern here. It stops, but then here it is completed.
Nutcracker with fancy shorts.
And then it shifts as it zooms in.
I play a Swedish nutcracker with fancy shorts.
More detail comes in on these as it zooms in. And actually this bit goes from being connected as a full heart into being disconnected.
Play a Swedish nutcracker with fancy shorts.
You can actually see it disconnect. There's still this weird seam. This bit it feels way too bright. Although, you know what? I'll say this much in terms of the characterization, because I don't know how much was written, how much was just getting the AI to write it. The characterization of Larry focusing on the weird details and instead of the major lesson, that's a very Larry thing. That is very much in character. Because Bob's the serious one. Bob is the one who's like, okay, I want to teach kids. He's got a dream and he wants to, he wants to get down to business. But Larry's like, he's the silly guy. He's got the silly songs.
Larry?
This looks like it's consistent with the last shot. You know what? I feel like his tooth is too short. Maybe that's nitpicking.
We're supposed to tell them about the story.
Yeah, the lip syncing is weird, and when he his mouth is closed, and Larry's too. But feels especially prevalent with Bob. It feels like with Bob, it feels like kind of when you curl your lips over your teeth. Kind of like your voice sounds like this when you do it. Kind of like when you're doing the grandpa voice, where you're trying to mimic a person who has dentures. It's kind of what it looks like. And then Larry kind of looks like he's almost doing that too when his nose is, or his mouth is closed. I keep thinking about how his nose feels too big. It feels like it's supposed to be a circle like Bob's, but it's an oval here, and it bothers me way too much. Did his hat change? I feel like it. No, it didn't, but it still bothers me.
Oh. Well, there's a giant pillow fight with the Mouse King.
I also keep noticing.
Tell them about the story.
Oh.
This they favor the right side in terms of how the mouths are animated. Like they're kind of just speaking out of one side of the mouth. Also, what's this weird awkward pause where Larry looks at Bob, like they look at each other? This is something that you would see anywhere. Like this feels like AI slop incarnate. Like this is what people imagine when they think AI slop. The eyes are actually pretty accurate. Larry does not have this weird connecting bit on his teeth, though. And the mouth feels wrong. Oddly enough, the nose... This reminds me of the bit from Suma the Opera where Larry goes, I'll sing my Sally. And his nose gets all big. Here it's just too, just big in general, but like this kind of shading and general drawing, because this has that kind of yellowish goldish tint to it. This is what people imagine when they think AI slop. Mr. Lunt looks about right. I can't remember if his teeth look like that. They feel a little too detailed. I don't remember if he has a full set of teeth or not. I feel like he doesn't. But he doesn't have eyes and he has a crown. I think that's, but the pattern on this has changed. I don't know. This just feels weird.
Giant pillow fight with the Mouse King.
So he's the Mouse King. He lacks spots here. The pattern changed again.
And Candy.
So okay, Laura's design looks fine. Like, it looks, again, it just, like, the designs can be accurate. They just don't look, something about them looks uncanny, you know? The food does not look yummy. It looks like the plastic food you see at like theme parks and stuff.
Everywhere.
This is like meme material right here. She looks haunted. She's seen some things. She is in a nightmare. This is similarly AI shaded to the to this shot, and
Giant pillow fight with the
even though this has very similar, oh, I realize the eyes aren't done right here, but even Mr. Lunt here has the AI shading, but
Mouse King.
it feels like Larry is kind of between the way that they do VeggieTales in the VeggieTales characters in the other shots and the generic AI shading. He's in
And
this weird
Candy everywhere.
in between. Again, I like the characterization. I think this is on point for Larry and Bob's dynamic, kind of, but it feels off. So I half wonder if this is written by AI or not. If it's not, these are not good writers. I don't trust the writing team here. If this is written by AI too, in addition to being animated by them, and in addition to being animated by it, I mean, I'm not very excited for what's to come.
That's not the important part, Larry. It's a beautiful Christmas story about...
Okay, so so Laura again looks fine. Like, it's just the way everything's shaded.
It's a beautiful Christmas...
Oddly enough, Junior looks more like Archibald. He doesn't look like Junior. I think it's because the eyes are too small. Like the actual sclera, the whites. Usually the whites on him are bigger. But I feel like he's the most on-model character in the entire video. Like, this is the most on-character VeggieTales character. The shading is still weird. The background is still clearly AI. But they got it. It is a minute into the video, but still.
story about friendship.
Is this supposed to be Mr. Nezzer? Why is he wearing a green jacket, though? That's my question. If this is supposed to be Mr. Nezzer, I kind of can see it with the hair, but he's not usually that wrinkly. Again, generic background. But this looks a little bit more VeggieTales. This reminds me of Larry Boy and the Bad Apple in terms of how it's stylized, but I doubt that's a purposeful choice. None of this really is, I'm sure. But they've been weird about Mr. Nezzer ever since In the House. What am I thinking of? But this is suddenly, I'm kind of when I see Mr. Nezzer like this, I'm kind of reminded of an Easter Carol. And what's it called? An Easter Carol and the Star of Christmas. So there's a part of me wondering if this, theoretically, if this is more than just a pitch trailer, if this was actually being made as a real episode, if this was meant to be connected to that, or if it's just me spitballing and thinking, ooh, this reminds me of it in just a weird way. But those are classic episodes.
And I wear funny shorts.
Coming soon.
I think that's just repeating the earlier shot. But the funny shorts joke isn't really funny.
Soon to Vermont.
Does it say? Did the voice say coming soon to Vermont?
Coming soon to Vermont.
That's what it sounds like it's saying. Let's see what Vermont is what the subtitles say. But I think it sounds like it's saying Vermont. So yeah, this is not good. This is obviously. I mean, I'm trying to see the positives. But this ain't good. But the thing is it's one thing I've noticed. This also does remind me of you see, I see a church and I think Star of Christmas. I want to go watch that episode instead. I'd rather go watch that episode. But I've noticed a lot of companies trying to use AI in place of stuff like CGI and live action when a lot of the cases where I don't know if AI is being used and it's not jarring like this is, it's in place of 2D animation as opposed to CG. Or it's not even animation, it's just a drawing. So I don't think it should be replacing this. I want to finish the next segment before I give full thoughts and have a. Because there's a very specific reason why this is so disappointing. But yeah, this feels lifeless. It's not funny. And VeggieTales is supposed to be funny. But also, where's the biblical lesson? Because VeggieTales is a Christian series. This feels very secularized. It reminds me a lot of some later episodes of the direct-to-video series, which would have verses but didn't feel very biblical. And then some of In the House, which, while, yeah, the designs were very polarizing, In the House and In the City also felt very secularized. And then the Pirates, who don't do anything movie. Well animated, funny, but God's not mentioned at all, and God's not mentioned here. It feels like they probably put in, make it these characters, but make it generic, funny cartoon. Like kids' cartoon. And that's, you know what, that's a shame, because VeggieTales, can be pretty funny when it's written well. So this is before the other one then. Esther AI. Oh goodness. This was uploaded January 20th. So this was made, January 25th, but it was uploaded February 28th. Yeah, so this was May 21st. So that is a 3-month difference? I do not have confidence in this. And Esther. So for reference, I think Esther, the girl who became queen, is one of the best episodes of VeggieTales. I think it's like that. I want to say Rumor Weed. Maybe a tie between Rumor Weed and Bad Apple for Larry Boy. And then the Lord of the Rings parody, Lord of the Beans. That one's really good too. There's a lot of solid episodes, but I think Esther's great. And I want to get into why as we see this one. So, from what I understand, this is a scene from Esther done in AI, and so I'm holding this, despite it being older, to a higher standard. Okay, so this doesn't seem to be added by the person. It's a different font. This is an early animation test for a fully AI-powered pipeline. Most of the lip movements are not synced, and there are only placeholder shots. And there are only placeholder shots are included at the end for the adventure sequence. That is not grammatically correct. And there are only placeholder shots are included. You could say, and there are placeholder shots included, or and placeholder shots are included, and the only is entire superfluous. Or And placeholder shots are included at the end only for the adventure sequence. And also, what's the adventure sequence? There's not really an action scene. I mean, there's like some excitement, but there's not really action in Esther.
What am I supposed to do again?
A song! You're supposed to sing a song! Didn't you prepare anything?
I guess I wasn't expecting.
Okay. No. Nuh-uh. Nuh-uh. I am not going to harp on the lip movements. It says that's work in progress, so I'm keeping that in mind. I am trying to have an open mind. Emphasis on trying. No. 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 She's not supposed to be some orc lady. She's supposed to be a vegetable. And yes, I know, for the Esther design in the cartoon, they did give her more human-like traits compared to the other characters to serve the narrative and how she was animated in the episode, but this does not work. Sorry, and I'm realizing she's a bit cross-eyed.
To get this far.
Well, please!
And the scallion. Why does he have, like, kind of realistic lips or lipstick? I don't know what they're going for. And they got the eyes wrong. And the nose! Dude has Squidward nose going on over here. And he looks kind of like a toy. It looks like plastic. Melted plastic up here. Not a fan.
Something! You're making me look bad!
Oh, gosh. So we had who I thought was Mr. Nezzer in the last one, but this is definitely Nezzer and Lunt. They got Lunt right last time, but now why are there eyes? He's not supposed to have eyes. That's that's a whole facet of him. Why? Why? And what's with the mouth being like this weird protrusion? And he's wearing a sweater. I don't know if that's a thing in the original. I'm gonna count it against this, though, because it looks weird. Looks like they got the crown right, so I can give it... But why are his eyebrows this cloud mass? That's not how Mr. Nezzer looks. They got the eyes way wrong. Like, this isn't even close at all. Why does the mouth look like that? Why the chin bulge that he has, I don't know what it's technically called, does not look like that. And again, he looks like a toy. He looks plastic. He looks a little less so, but the eyes and mouth make me make him look so uncanny that I prefer Nezzer in this scene. And this is a better design purely because of how uncanny the eyes and mouth are. I do not think this is how her outfit looks in the original. But at the same time, they're going for put it in AI. Yeah, why does this looks like a human woman that you chopped the arms off of? Me no like.
Remember that song your grandmother used?
First of all, this feels way too overbrightened. I know it's a flashback. Why is it so overbrightened? Mouth looks weird. I know they say, oh, the lip sync's not done. Doesn't mean the mouths have to look weird for everyone. The mustache is oddly detailed compared to everything else, which is lacked detail. I can see individual hairs.
Used to sing?
Okay, I've got something.
And actually, you know what? I'm thinking. You know what? No, I'll save my thought for at the end here.
The battle is not.
And this is one of oh, okay. So Mr. Nezzer has the weird mouth protrusion too. So they're both terrible. This is one of the best songs in this series, if you ask me. Too. Oh, these are certainly choices. Okay, so I have thoughts. First of all, the choice to cut away to Palgrave, I don't know if this was the AI. Yeah, I'm realizing this is a blob, the badge on top here. But in the original, I don't. I remember it not cutting away to him. If memory serves, it just holds on a shot of Esther, and then we hear his voice, which kind of emphasizes her loneliness. I don't know if this is the AI interpreting it, or if this was something they were putting into the AI. Also, I'm realizing the glasses don't really. Maybe they connect up here, but they don't seem to. Oh, they do connect up here. Um, but it emphasizes her loneliness in that moment. She's separated from her family. And so it emphasizes how lonely she is, and she's using this song because it's from her family. And there's a lot of really deliberate choices. This is a very good episode.
Mother used to sing.
And I know the lip syncing is technically not done, but this isn't even close. And also, they do something similar here, where during the song, for whatever reason, she we see her in a bunch of different locales. Her outfit changes slightly, and her everything changes. I am going to hold on. Yeah, I'm just gonna stay on this. But that's not really great, because in the original it was just a panning shot, and I believe it did actually show the scallion again. And we saw more reaction shots from Mr. Lunt and Mr. Nezer. And so it emphasized the music. It makes you think about the music. But here, you have just weird choices. This feels like AI making the decisions, in which case the flashback choice was definitely AI, which makes me think that this is written by AI, and oddly enough got Larry's characterization right. And I mean, it does say fully AI powered pipeline. It's probably not written by people. It's probably, okay, we want this scene. Give us, okay, here's the scene, here's the audio. Do it in AI. Do it again. Do it better, apparently. But the thing about the original was that it was very defined by the old CG, and I would argue that enhanced a lot of the storytelling. So first of all, Esther was such a good episode because I'm going to hold in the scallion. He's the least terrifying character. It was enhanced a lot by this old CG. A lot of VeggieTales and its creative decisions and its art style are defined by the limitations of older CGI. It's why the characters don't have limbs, why, especially in older episodes, they don't wear clothes. It's why none of the characters have hair, except for in later episodes, because computers couldn't do hair, and even when they do have hair, it's very plastic. It's very limited. And it's got a very different look to it, very different feel to it. But this is not that, so I think even then, I feel like VeggieTales was able to evolve in such a way where even as those limitations disappeared, it didn't necessarily feel like it suddenly became outdated, because the writing was good enough and the animation was good enough and the writing was good enough, the animation was good enough, and they were able to keep things, just right. They hit the right balance for everything. The direction was good, everything was good. Everything was good. And so I would say that lasted until about probably late 2000s. And probably ended a little before or a little after the Pirates movie. At which point I think they switched to a new animation software, if I remember correctly. Either that or just things became too polished or done in a way that felt off. I don't know. There's a point where the animation in the episodes feels very weird. In the DVD episodes, I think that continues into the into the house in the city and then into the VeggieTales show. VeggieTales show, from what I saw at least, was carried by good writing, even if it was no longer as well directed or even as great in terms of its innovation, because VeggieTales was really an animator in terms of CG animation in general. It wasn't the first American produced CG animated cartoon. It was predated by an educational cartoon, from what I understand, but it was the first Christian one, and it did predate Reboot. And kind of like Reboot, Reboot's very defined by the old CG look. But VeggieTales, it's very defined by computer generated animation. This is not that, So you can't really shift styles without there being some pushback, and with this, it just looks wrong. I would rather them make something different if they're going to go AI than them kind of I guess ruin in a way the legacy VeggieTales has made, because it was made by a couple of people. It was made by a college dropout and his friend, who said, the stuff being made by Christian companies for kids and families sucks. Let's make something entertaining. And so they did. They wrote jokes that they thought were funny. They wrote episodes that they thought had a meaningful message. And heck, I think the Esther episode is so good because it's accurate to the source, still family friendly, and it tells a good message. And it tells a good message in that, sometimes we will encounter these huge problems in life, and that struggle isn't ours to face, and it's God's. We have to give it up to God. It's not ours alone to face, and it's a good lesson for kids. It's a good lesson for grown-ups. A lot of episodes in VeggieTales are like that. But alas, this seems to very much, the new episode pitch doesn't seem very Bible-focused, Bible-oriented. VeggieTales is owned by secular companies, and it is no longer the innovator it once was. I mean, we had Faith Animation's David, which was computer animated, and it looks better than any given episode of VeggieTales ever did. And it was a direct adaptation of a Bible story. It adapted up until a little after the death of Saul. And it was well animated, well written. It was a passion project made by a Christian company. This Big Idea has been owned by another company that's secular for years. I believe it's owned by Universal nowadays, and they own Illumination. So it's not like they're lacking in animation staff. They just don't want to put the effort in because secular companies do not want to make Christian content because it actively condemns a lot of... Because the Bible condemns a lot of things that are accepted by the world. Condemns, heck, murder. But also stuff like homosexuality, sexual immorality, deceit, and other forms of wickedness that we see being so embraced by the world. So even though VeggieTales does not tackle those subjects directly, because it is a Christian series, they're gonna give it this budget treatment and likely use it as a scapegoat for these R&D costs. Okay, can we do CG animation with AI? Is it worth it? So far, I would say no, because AI consistently is not great for CG animation. It cannot replace that. CG animation is one tool, AI is another tool. There will likely come a time when AI is an adequate tool for something else in the creative process, but it cannot replace live action, and it cannot replace computer generated animation. In the same way that I don't think that computer generated effects can replace practical effects, or computer generated animation can replace traditional animation. Each of these mediums has their advantages, their disadvantages, and their uses and purposes. Prince of Egypt was great as a 2D animated film, and David was great as a CG animated film. They were both adapting books of the Bible. They both did so well, and both did so using those mediums to their fullest. And heck, did so in a way that was family friendly. I would make the argument that you could maybe, if they really, really wanted to do AI VeggieTales, they could see something about reviving the cartoon adventure style. Because whenever I see 2D animation or just 2D drawings done with AI, it's a lot harder to tell. It is a lot harder to tell. However, AI struggles with consistency. You can see it all across this. Even on a simple zooming shot, or a panning shot, or characters moving, it does not do things consistently because it's constantly looking back at the prompt and drawing a new image based on that prompt instead of what a computer would do, where it has the previous frame as a reference when it's re-rendering. Whereas the AI does not really do that. It doesn't, from what I understand. I don't understand the complexities of it, but AI is an unrefined process. It's meant to be cheaper. That's the theoretical advantage, according to these companies, but it's not. It's, in practice, not cheaper, and it's not higher quality, and it's not as artistically sound. And in the case of VeggieTales, it will likely not produce work that is as good. I mean, as Christians, we are supposed to make work that gives glory to God. Yes, I make YouTube videos, but I try to make videos that I think are, high quality enough that give glory to God. Or that they give glory to God, that is. And so, yes, even in the mundane stuff, we're supposed to aim for that. I don't think this would. I don't think this is putting the maximum amount of effort in. I don't think this is trying hard enough. I don't think this is the right way to go. But also at the same time, anyone who has even just casually looked at VeggieTales, I have not seen new episodes since the debut of the VeggieTales show. I saw the pilot, the Christmas special they did there, and that was about it. And you could easily say VeggieTales has been in a decline for years. It is not what it used to be. And it will likely get to where it will be a property that is borderline worthless before anything good comes out of it again. That is my opinion. You don't have to agree with it, but I think that's how it's going to be, because there used to be a point in time where you had people passionate about it behind the project, and it used to be a lot easier to watch because it was just made on DVD and everyone had DVD players. And then it got put on streaming services that no one had and channels that barely anyone watched. And then it was, and when we had in the house and in the city, the show was not much of a passion project, and a lot of kids and even longtime fans, and it's weird to say VeggieTales has longtime fans, rejected the show. So I think we will have to get to the point where someone, maybe it'll be Faith Animation or the company that makes The Chosen or someone, someone that is some faith-based company that knows what they're doing and knows that this is an intellectual property that has merit, goes up and buys it. But at the same time, like I said, it's so rooted in the early years of CGI. So one has to wonder, what are the merits beyond nostalgia? Because me and a lot of other people that like VeggieTales and that saw this news and were a bit appalled by it, we were appalled because we grew up with it. So the question has to be asked, what value does VeggieTales have beyond nostalgia, beyond pure, it's not what it was like when I grew up. It's not what it's like when I was a kid. And so, yes, it is sad to say, but I think it is better that kids nowadays have something else, something different, something new. I would say if you're raising kids Christian and you want to show them good cartoons, I would say show them the old episodes, the good episodes, but also show them new stuff. Because there's plenty of new stuff and good stuff. Like I said, that David movie that came out, it's amazing. It's wonderful. It's so well made. But, you can't really make progress like that if you keep focusing on past in the way that I think a lot of people do with VeggieTales. And I think it's, we're seeing new people who want to make new stories and new things sort of coming up instead. And you know what? I hope that we see more productions like David that are high budget, well made, Pixar quality Christian animations, because at the start, that's what VeggieTales was. It was at the same quality as Pixar, but VeggieTales knew, it never, after a certain point, it didn't live up to, it could not, it was not at the same level as Pixar. And just never tried to catch up again in terms of storytelling. It was on the same level, if not higher. But in terms of animation, never tried to catch up. And then now we have a movie that is better than, I would say, anything Hollywood's put out in nearly a decade, and Disney specifically, well over a decade. I'd say, genuinely, and I'm someone who liked Tron Ares, which came out the same year, and I would say it was better than Tron Ares. Tron Ares was maybe the exception in terms of, good movies that year. It was good. But the David film was great. So I would say this is perhaps a sign that, maybe the backlash will lead to NBC Universal re-examining things, and maybe they'll go back to square one and we'll have something more faith-based and high quality, especially with how much of a success David was. Or maybe they'll see the backlash and they'll put it on the shelf, and we won't hear from it for a few years, and there'll be some revival again, and we'll go through the same song and dance again. Or they'll sell it because it's not worth it anymore. Who knows? I think it'll be interesting to see for sure. But that's all the time we have for today, kids. And don't forget, God made you special, and He loves you very much. Bye-bye.